Hello, everybody.
I'm excited.
You're
I'm
excited.
excited.
Tell us
We've
about
got another
How excited
big
you are.
episode of Push a Shout.
the biggest
this
we've
is
ever had. Guaranteed.
Episode 55.
Will not disappoint.
This is Mike and Skippy with the
Mike and
biggest
Skip.
gaming news.
Mike and Skip with the scoop. That's what
With
you
the
tune in
scoops.
for. That's what we got.
Yeah. I don't know.
Scoop
guess
is
we've got
pretty
video
thin this week.
games.
So.
I don't know. We've got some news and
Yeah, we do.
let's just jump right into it because I don't feel like doing pleasantries or anything. You know, let's
Boom.
just.
Here you have it. The no bullshit, no pleasantry cast
That's right.
coming right at you.
Have
By
you
the
done
way,
anything interesting
this-
since we last?
Hold up. First, we got to commemorate the occasion. This is the first official Push Your Shout Turk cast coming at you with all the social capital of the Turkey Week, Turkey Day.
Oh,
Merry Turkey Day, everybody.
I had the country of Turkey in my head. I was trying to figure that one out.
I was
Too
thinking
many
of
politics.
actual keys.
Yeah, I forgot that this was going to be our podcast before Thanksgiving. Do you have any plans?
You know what? Okay, I do have plans. I mean, I'm going up to my family's house. I mean, for a while I've been between states and college and family in different places, so I've always had to like fly back for Thanksgiving. This is the first Thanksgiving in a while where I'm actually just gonna get to take a short drive up to my relative's place and just chill out, and it feels so good. So I'm excited about that. On Thanksgiving in general, I already went into a row with someone in the chat before this. Thanksgiving is the best holiday, and I'll fight anybody who says
We have
otherwise.
some Irishmen in the chat
You know what?
complaining about American holidays.
Some bullshit foreigner who doesn't understand what the fuck they're talking about.
I'm
because
sorry,
let
you
me
don't
tell
have
you,
enough culture to come up with
you
your
got
own
no
holidays.
culture. You got, I mean, what do you got? You got a leprechaun? Huh? That's
Saint,
not a
St.
holiday.
Patrick's Day? That's
Leprechauns.
more of an American thing, really.
Spoilers.
Honestly.
Spoilers, leprechauns aren't a holiday. Thanksgiving is a holiday. Thanksgiving has turkey, it's got stuffing, and most importantly, it's got gravy. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of all time. It's everybody gets together. More people in my family get together on Thanksgiving than on Christmas. It is the event that unites the family unit. It's the best.
It's got kurtukins. You ever had a
Whatever that means.
kurtukin?
I haven't had turtukins.
It's a chicken, a turkey, and what's the other one? A duck. That's it. Is it kurdukin or kurdukin?
Turducken.
I can't remember.
Well,
But it's a combination of three birds, and you put them all inside each other. And
that
cook it.
sounds like an insidious Thanksgiving hot dog,
I've never had one.
and I'm not interested in that.
I don't want any
But
part
turkey is the truth, and that is the official stance of the Push to Shout team. Push to Shout LLC officially endorses Thanksgiving as its favorite holiday.
of that. Yeah, it is my favorite holiday. I like it more than Christmas. And everyone says, well, you know, Christmas has everything that Thanksgiving has, plus presents and stuff. But there's something about Thanksgiving. Maybe just the fact that it comes before Christmas. It's better. It
comes at such a good time.
It does.
In the
It's
year.
starting to get cold. The leaves are falling. It's crisp outside, and everyone's ready to.
Crisp
everyone's
is a
ready
nice
to.
word.
Yeah.
It's brisk. It's been getting brisk outside.
Yeah. Brisk is a little colder than crisp.
Well, here,
Crisp-
okay, maybe in
Crisp
Alabama.
is just the fresh air.
All
It's
right,
the
let's
cool
be
fresh
accurate
air.
about this. Let's be scientific. Maybe in Alabama it's crisp, but in Maryland it's brisk.
Yeah, true. Because in Alabama, it was like in the 60s today. So
Oh, it was like 30 or so.
yeah. So
It
we
was
haven't
nasty cold.
we haven't gotten our brisks on yet. So this is a podcast about video games. Have
Yes,
you been
it
playing
is.
any video games?
I have. Okay, so I'm going to start with Smash. I talk about Smash a lot. I anticipate a lot of you don't care about it, but I don't care about that. I'm just going to talk about it because I think I'm kind of reaching one of those points in life that I anticipate exists where you just don't have that much time.
Oh no.
And you just, if you're going to play video games, you focus on one or two.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's Smash for me right now. I went to another local, this time for Melee, and I'm just going to talk about it. There's one guy, his name's Michonne, that's his handle, and he's really good. He's a really good fox. And
What race is he?
He is white.
Okay. I feel like everyone who plays Smash, like you can divide them by their races into how they play. Like the black people play a certain way, and the Asians play a certain way, and the white people play a certain way. That's what I learned from the documentary that I watched on Smash.
Oh, well, we
maybe
watched
that's
the
how
same
it was in the
documentary, and I
early
didn't
days.
get that. But
We've got racism here on Push the Shell. We don't care.
this
We'll
is
be
the
racist.
official racist cast.
We're edgy.
Yeah, we are.
That's how we get
So-
the listens.
So last time, it's a monthly Melee tournament, and there's tournaments every week. But like, there's Project M, and that I won, and then Smash 4, and then Melee. Melee, this guy shows up. The first tournament in October, he just beat my ass. I only took one game, and just for the uninitiated, there are sets, and each set either takes place. It's best of 3 or best of 5 is a set, and I didn't win a single set last time. I got destroyed. I
You
only
got
won.
punked.
I won one game, and that's only because he went to one of his secondaries, Captain Falcon, and just fucked around, and I managed to like barely squeeze out a win. This time, I switched to Fox. I was really grinding out tech skill, trying to figure out exactly how the game works. I didn't win. I still got second, but I managed to take a whole set. 2 games in a row, I just beat his ass, and it felt really good. Like
So
it's a clear improvement from last time to this time. Last time it was a fluke win. This time it was a consistent set. I won the set, and it
What's
felt
your
great.
character? Is it Fox?
So I used
Is
to
it
play a lot of
everyone's
Marth.
Fox?
I used to play a lot of Marth, but I realized I was kind of using Marth as a crutch. Marth, you have a lot of freedom to kind of move around and grab people, and you don't need to know too much tech. So, but if you're facing somebody who's better than you and who knows how to get around your spacing and things like that, you're basically fucked. Like this guy was just shining me. I was like a hockey puck. He would just shine me and I would slide and I couldn't do anything. And he would combo me into these ridiculous situations. This time, I put up a good fight. I won a set. I knocked him into losers. Grand finals, he beat me 2 sets in a row. But I still managed to take a couple games. So within like a short period of time, this guy who was phenomenally better than me, I'm now like, I'm getting on par with. And
Yeah.
it's
It's
a
a good
really
feeling.
good feeling. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, that's why I like racing. That's why I like CS:GO. That's why I like Rocket League, because you can feel yourself getting better, and it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
It's
And-
unfortunately kind of rare in video games.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because people who don't play Smash obviously don't care as much about the minute incremental improvements I'm making, but each one of them just feels so good. I'm
Yeah.
starting to approach the game in a different way, which is kind of interesting. I read a couple of old Smashboards post about this same topic, and it's one of them is really, really long, but it explains the difference between what it calls an improvement mentality and a scrub mentality. And obviously a scrub mentality can mean a lot of things, but what the basic point of it was, and this totally rings true for me, is at some point improving at the game and optimizing your play, minimizing mistakes, making the right choice, and just executing the tech perfectly and knowing what to do, that becomes more fun than just, quote, playing for fun, if that makes any sense. That the improvement itself becomes satisfying in a way that winning any one match just isn't.
Yeah.
And it's been really cool. I feel like I'm getting a hand. I feel like my head is in the right spot to just go to a tournament every week or so, have fun, learn new things. It's great. I'm really enjoying it.
Are the tournaments that often? Is it like a Baltimore area thing? Like,
Yeah.
how do these things get organized? Who's doing them?
So right now it's at my university, and there's a pretty active scene in my university. I'm the best Project M player. There's a better Melee player than me, and I'm the second best Smash 4 player. So I've
Okay.
been trying to diversify.
What are these like? What like? Tell me about like the atmosphere of these places. Like, how many people are there? And,
Okay,
like,
so
do people get into
in
it?
some
Like,
ways, they're pretty what you would expect, pretty terrible. That you have people who have watched the Smash documentary and
mm-hmm.
they feel like they're intimate friends with all these top players, and they talk about what was just in the documentary like it's gospel truth,
They're
even though they
posers.
can't do any. Well, it's to some extent, yeah. Like they'll watch one video and then just say, "Oh, Falco can totally lock down Marth with lasers on FD," and not really know what that means or how to do it. It's been nice to play with this one guy who beat me in Melee because I don't enjoy making excuses for losing. I recognize I'm a total scrub, and
Yeah.
I just want to get better. And so it's for the really good players there. It really is nice to play with them because you just learn new things all the time, and just subtle optimizations you can make. Like the guy who beat me at the Melee local this weekend, he taught me how to do a shine directly into an up smash as Fox, which I didn't know was possible. But if you like jump out of it using your left stick and then C stick up at the same time, you can just do a boom. I don't know how to describe it to people who don't play Smash,
Yeah.
but it really speeds things up, and you just some people know things that you don't know, and it's really really fun. I don't mind losing at all. When I played CS:GO was probably the last game that I played quote unquote seriously, and then I had a total scrub mentality. I hated
Oh, really?
I hated losing. I blame my team and all.
Yeah.
To some extent, that's true because it is a team game, and I was playing with pretty bad people.
Sure. It's
But
easier. It's easier
yeah.
to not blame yourself in a team-based thing.
I have decided to. I've totally washed my hands of being a scrub. I'll be bad. I am bad, but I'm not a scrub anymore,
Yeah.
and that's what I can report.
And it's all relative. It sounds like you're crushing most people there. At least.
Well, at my university, not at
Yeah.
a regional, but I'm probably going to go to the regional that's super popular in my area is called Smash at Xanadu. I'll probably go there sometime in the next couple months. So
you can
yeah,
meet up with all of our listeners
I
there.
can. All of our listeners are professional
If you're going
Smash
to the what do you call it thing, hook us
Smash
up.
at Xanadu. So yeah, that's Smash.
That's neat. That's really cool. I wish I had real life people to play video games with because I just don't. The only people I know who play
that
video
is one of the
games-
most refreshing things about it. Like
Yeah.
actually sitting next to somebody and playing
Yeah.
video games. It's cool.
Because like the only people in real life I know who play video games are playing stuff like Destiny and Call of Duty, and it's
Yeah.
like So that's nice. That must be fun. I wish
Really
I
is.
had that. All right. Anything else?
Not on Smash. I mean, just in the rest of things on the same topic as just not having all that much time or not feeling like I have all that much time. I decided I'm just gonna play Witcher 3. That at this point,
Yay!
yeah, like at this point, I don't know. Even like a couple months ago, I would have said, "Oh, I want to play it in order and I want to finish Witcher 2." But now I'm just feeling like if I don't get to Witcher 3 now, I'm not confident that I'll remember to go back to it, and I just don't have the time to play every game.
And like
that I
while
wanna
playing
play.
Witcher 2, I've played a little bit more of Witcher 2, and I've kind of Witcher 3 is such an improvement in general. It's just more fun, and I could see you getting bogged down with Witcher 2 to the point where it's like, well, I don't want to play Witcher 3 until I finish it, but I don't really want to finish it, and so I don't blame you at all. And I started Witcher 3 without any knowledge of Witcher 1 or 2, the stories or the world or anything, and I was fine. So, I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I feel like I have enough at this point that I can just play Witcher 3.
Yeah, that's exciting. I hope you like it.
I probably will.
Because I've hyped it up
I
too
really
much.
liked. I don't think so. I really loved what I played of Witcher 2, and if I thought that I would be able to get to all of it, then I would finish that completely and then play Witcher 3. But
What about, as someone in the chat asks, the Bloodborne DLC is coming out tomorrow?
tomorrow,
Yes.
okay,
You weren't
I didn't
ready.
know that. I'm
Yeah.
really excited now.
Yeah, it looks really good. I've seen some footage of it. I've seen like about an hour of it. It's neat. Like the area is, I won't like spoil it, but the area is based on a lot of the areas from Bloodborne, but they've been changed. You're like in a dream world kind of thing, and
That's
so
cool.
it's really neat because you're like going through the same areas, but they're not at all the same. It's not like they're reusing the level. It's just that you can recognize, like, oh, okay, this is that part. You know, like
That's really cool.
It's neat. It made me really want to play Bloodborne, but I don't have a PS4. I
Uh,
told someone on Twitter, I said I'll get Bloodborne when it comes out on PC, and you know, also I'll pick up Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC while I'm at it. Um, I'm looking forward to, I guess, Dark Souls 3. I don't know. I need to. I wish.
Eventually,
I don't want to buy a PS4 just to finish Bloodborne.
eventually,
but
a PS4 will be worth it.
Yeah.
It was true of PS3. It seems true of PS4. Sony is getting the best exclusives lately. You'll have you'll have Uncharted 4. You'll have Bloodborne. You'll have the best version of Final Fantasy 15. You'll have everything. That's every console exclusive is better on PS4.
See, my plan is to bring Mace to Target on Black Friday, and then I'll mace the people there and grab a PS4 while it's on sale.
Uh,
Okay.
uh,
Is there anything else?
Not video game wise. I did finish BoJack Horseman, and we talked about this. That I jumped to the conclusion pretty quickly that it was the best thing of the year, and you know, in my usual exaggeration mode, I'm getting better at it. But having watched both seasons completely now, I will say it still is one of the most interesting things I've seen this year.
Yeah.
I wound up reading up on the creator of the show and a lot of what he had to say, and it made certain things clearer, that he approaches it as first like a character show and second as a comedy, and it shows.
Yeah.
The story goes places. It gets very, very dark, especially in the second season.
Did I tell you I watched the pilot episode
You did.
2 weeks ago, and I liked it. The humor, like the comedy part of it, and granted this is just the pilot episode, so it's just setting things up. I didn't love the humor part of it. I was laughing and stuff, but it didn't blow me away.
Yeah.
But I could tell where they were setting up some interesting stuff, like character-wise and story-wise, and I do want to keep watching that. But I guess we'll segue smoothly into what I have been watching, which is the season 2 of The Americans, which I watched season 1 a while ago. I thought I talked about it in here, and I might not have. I don't remember. But The Americans is a show on FX, and it's about a couple who are in the 80s living in America. They're Soviet spies. Okay. And they're living as Americans. They've got American accents and all that stuff. And they've got children who don't know they're spies, who are like young teenagers. And they're trying to do spy stuff while maintaining a family. And so I started watching it because of the spy stuff. I love Cold War era spy espionage, that kind of thing. That appeals to me in a really, really, really specific way, and it does deliver on that a lot. Like, it has a lot of really cool stuff, but I'd say its primary focus is drama. It's based on it's focusing on the characters and kind of their struggles, and there's a lot of sex. Everyone's sleeping with each other and that kind of thing. But it's still it's
Intrigue,
good. It's really
romance.
Yeah, it is. But it does, like, it goes farther than you might expect from, like, oh, it's espionage and they're sleeping with people and it's romance. Like, it takes that to a level beyond its cliche, you know, facade. But I've actually really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to season 3. It's just a fun watch. Like, it's no Breaking Bad or Mad Men or anything, but it's fun. It's a good show, and I would recommend it to people if they know what they're getting into. Like,
okay.
You know, if you know that it's not a trash television thing, but it's something in between, you know, garbage. Just watch it for fun and really interesting, you know, writing and all that stuff. It's just good.
Right.
I also watched Ex Machina. You heard of that one?
No.
The movie?
Oh, yeah. It's the AI thing.
Yeah, I I heard someone mention it at some point, and I said, "Oh, that looked interesting," and then I watched it. It was good. It was. I've got a lot to say
That
about it actually.
exhale
Yeah,
is
the
telling.
exhale is mostly because of the ending, and
Okay.
I don't want to flat out spoil. Maybe I will spoil it. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to spoil it because I do recommend people watch it. I think it's a good movie. Uh, it has it ends in a really kind of jarring, unsatisfying way, in my opinion. I have seen people defend it, but the only defense for the ending that I've seen has really just come down to, well, it made sense. It was the most logical ending to the thing, and I'm like, great, yeah. Everything up to the ending is very well done. It's very well directed. It's it has this. So the concept is this employee for like a Google fictional Google basically wins a prize that within the company to go out and visit the head of the company for a week at his secluded home in the mountains or wherever, and you know you have to like fly a helicopter to get there and everything. And he goes there, and the guy is like kind of what you would expect, a young, slightly hipster, techie douchebag with like a beard and and he's obsessed with like working out. He like drinks at night, and then he works out in the morning to get over the hangover and that kind of thing. And he like right off the bat, like it's really uncomfortable. Like there's something going on behind the scenes that you can't figure out, and the main character is like trying to figure out that there's something going on. And then you learn that it's a research facility for the AI that he's been building, and the prize was really to be the test subject for the AI, and to talk to the AI and determine whether it's passable as a human intelligence or not. And it goes some places. It's there's some like really typical what you would expect from this kind of story about an AI, and it doesn't really delve that deep into some of it. But it does go some interesting places, but mostly I like the atmosphere of it, like this kind of big empty house that he's like got restricted access to some areas, and it's like, oh, what's behind that door, that kind of thing. It's almost a horror, almost, but not quite. I liked it. I do recommend it. Just be prepared for a kind of disappointing ending. But it worked. It was fine. I did like it. And in terms of video games, the only thing I've been playing is more Fallout 4, and I gotta say, I'm still enjoying. I'm actually enjoying
See,
Fallout 4 the more I play it. I'm
you know
enjoying it
what?
more.
I heard the same thing from my brother. My brother wound up playing more of the city building, not city, but settlement building stuff, and he seems to be getting more hooked as he goes.
Yeah, I'm doing what people kind of recommend to do with Bethesda games that I've never done, which is avoid the main storyline.
Oh,
And now that I think back on it, Morrowind, which is like my favorite game ever, and Bethesda's one of Bethesda's first forays into the RPG genre, kind of. They did Arena and Daggerfall, but Morrowind's a different kind of game in a lot of
yeah,
ways.
yeah.
Um, I came to the realization that I actually did that with Morrowind kind of unintentionally, because Morrowind doesn't push you into the main quest the same way the other games do. Morrowind is the main quest is very hidden in Morrowind almost. Like you get a letter at the beginning and someone says, "Oh, take this letter to so and so in this city," and that's kind of your first quest, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so easy to just forget about it because the city's far away. There's no easy way to get to it. You have to get money if you want to take the Silt Strider to fast travel there. You can't just click it on the map or anything like that. So you know, it doesn't push you very hard. Even when you start doing the quest, it doesn't just throw you right in the story, and there's nothing going on in the world that says like, oh, you have to finish the main quest. It's just there. And so, you know, Skyrim had the dragons flying around, and Oblivion had the portals opening up. You couldn't avoid the main quest, and you felt like you had to do it. And I think that's why I mainlined those quests. Fallout 3, I ended up doing it too. I don't remember much of Fallout 3, honestly. I just didn't really enjoy it very much. But I've specifically avoided doing that with Fallout 4. I started doing the main quest and got to the main city hub of the game, and then went off and did something else, and I haven't really gone back to it. I've done like maybe one additional mission in the main quest. So I'm just wandering around, finding things, doing random quests and stuff, and I'm having a lot of fun. It's a lot more enjoyable than I thought. Like exploring the environment is more satisfying than I thought it would be. I think it's better than Fallout 3 because I don't remember Fallout 3 being very interesting.
Yeah.
Because like going into a building and finding the story behind what happened in that building, just something as simple as that, it didn't feel very good in Fallout 3 or the recent the Oblivion or Skyrim. So maybe it's just because I'm approaching it with a different attitude, or maybe it's because they truly have improved. But I'm enjoying it a lot more in its open worldness, and I'm actually getting a little bit of that itch of like, oh, I'm at work and I want to go home and play some Fallout, which I did not expect at all from that game. So I approve of it. It's still a really badly made game. Don't get me wrong. All the complaints we had about it are still very valid, but I am enjoying it at least. And that's it for me.
Well, I mean, what I've heard about the building settlements thing, again, I returned the game after a couple hours, so I don't have personal experience with it really, but I do have my brother's account at the game. He's been playing pretty frequently. He pointed out that, well, actually, he didn't point it out. I read it somewhere else. But he confirmed that when you build things, everything is still destroyed, post-apocalyptic.
Yeah,
that when you
make
a new rug, that there's holes in it.
Yeah,
and it's just fucking dumb. Like the very first, I played Fallout before Fallout 3. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And in the very first Fallout game, you go to the very first town, Sandy Shores or Shoals. It's been a while, so I shouldn't pretend to be an expert. But the very first town you go to, even though it's in an arid desert and it's pretty remote, they still have clean rugs. People take showers.
Yeah.
And it's just thought given to the world. In Fallout 2, Vault City, it's sort of built out of a vault, and they make an actual city of it, and they take pride in keeping things organized. And it's just, even in New Vegas, the NCR section of New Vegas, their little camp thing, when they have the barriers and the tents and things like that, it's clean. It makes sense. It's stuff that's manufactured after the apocalypse. And there's just no thought like that.
I totally agree.
In 4.
In
Bethesda,
4 and 3.
Bethesda isn't capable of that kind of
I agree.
writing anymore.
I think that was my main criticism starting out, and still was pretty much my main criticism. Although I found that it's fun to explore the world, but not for the reasons that I wanted to explore the world starting out, I guess, which is what you're talking about. Like, I want to look at something and say, like, oh, here's how this came about. You know, the war happened and then they rebuilt, and look, you can see how they rebuilt. You're right. They have designers that apparently just don't even bother with that step.
They just say,
how did this come
it's
to
the
be?
post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
It looks like
style.
shit. That's
it's
what it
just
is.
The style.
That's what they think.
In the style of Fallout.
Yep.
And so, it's retro-futuristic, 50s style, and then make it dirty and broken, and because there's been an apocalypse, and there's no thought beyond that at all at any point. It seems to me, I still haven't found anything that has a story behind it, really. Like, there's no, you can't figure out why something is the way it is, and it was an apocalypse, and that drives me crazy, and that's my biggest complaint against all the recent Bethesda games, because like Morrowind's might have had the same problem if it didn't come out in an era where you don't have that amount of detail in the game. So Morrowind came out and you have to fill in, even though it's fully 3D and there's some lighting effects and stuff. It came out in an era where there's not a lot of detail to anything, and you have to fill it in with your imagination. And so I feel like that's part of why my experience with Morrowind was so good. I was younger. I could fill in those blanks with my imagination and created the details of the world in my head, and it left a strong impression that the other games don't at all. Oblivion especially has zero personality in its world. Like
Oh yeah.
I hated it when it came out because it was they used Speed Tree to make the world first of all, and then they just put castles in it that looked like they were out of England or something like that. Like they just looked like it looked like Earth. That was my big complaint. You know, wolves and bears and deer and castles, ran just your really rote bullshit fantasy stuff. And Morrowind had giant mushrooms and wizards were creating plants that towered into the sky, and then they burrowed into the plants to create their dwellings and stuff. And there was so much. One of the races of people made homes out of the shells of the animals that are in that area, and it's like that's what I want out of an open world, out of something that I need to explore, and they didn't deliver at all. And Skyrim, it was largely the same way. I mean, it's just kind of like, oh, here's a world with some. It looks like it's kind of Viking-esque.
I just don't. There's no way Bethesda can conceive of anything as interesting as that moment where you first enter the boneyard in Fallout 1. That is incredible, and they tried, but they haven't been able to do anything like it since. That you go into downtown DC in Fallout 3, and I'm sure you do something similar in Fallout 4, but in Fallout 1, when you go into downtown Los Angeles, maybe it's just the time period, it takes place about 80 years after the bombs drop, but it feels like you are one of the first people who are coming late enough to explore it fully. Like, there's not total radiation and unlivable, but you feel like a pioneer going into one of these places,
Right.
and it's just so atmospheric. It feels totally empty. The boneyard of Los Angeles, and the buildings are just metal skeletons of what they used to be, and it's honestly incredible. I just don't see anything like that in Bethesda's Fallout.
Yeah, Fallout 4
universe.
does a better job at that kind of like, oh, look at this apocalyptic city than Fallout 3 did. Fallout 3 was completely lacking in any kind of interesting personality of the city. Fallout 4 has like, there's skyscrapers that look like they were built that are like newer ones, like they were towards the end of the fake future of Fallout, and so they have like a different style, and they're the ones that tended to stay up while all the other ones collapsed, that kind of thing. But I mean, it's very surface level stuff, and it really, there's nothing amazing about entering the city for the first time in Fallout 4. You just kind of go, oh yeah, there it is, and that's that, and that pretty much applies for everything in Fallout 4. Like, there's no moments, there's no, oh, let's take in this scene. It's just, yeah, that's, you get what you see.
But and that is still one of the most amazing things about Fallout 1 and 2 for me, is that unlike these 3D games, there's no shot of the vista where you're meant to just take it in. When you enter the boneyard, it's just a screen like any other screen in the game, but the atmosphere of it is just so perfect.
Yeah.
You are alone on an empty street of ruined Los Angeles, and you feel, because it comes at a certain point in the game where you feel like there could be anything lurking in the ruins, and it is honestly perfect. Seriously, if anyone listening right now hasn't played Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, play those games. Those are some of my favorite games ever. They are fantastic. Like, just story, world building, even gameplay. The gameplay still holds up. It's not like a super dated game. Even though it used that old Infinity engine, it still works.
Yeah.
And it rewards you building your character in a planned way. So if you load up on perception, you see a noticeable, concrete impact on your combat and your aim and things like that. Those two games are some of my favorites ever, and probably will be for as long as I live.
All right, man. Fallout 4 is definitely not going to be one of my favorite games. I can tell you that much. I also don't like that it started out. You played in the era before the bomb
Yeah,
dropped.
that sucked ass.
It's like you get this problem with a lot of franchises that go on too long, where if they have any kind of mysterious history in the world, they always ruin it by going back to it. And Lost did it, Halo's done it, and now Fallout's done it. Where it's like, oh, here's the world that's been kind of like, it's not been mysterious per se, but the aesthetic of Fallout is the idea that people don't remember what was there before the bombs dropped, and then you just put the player there, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is so cool!" It's like you're actually playing, and no, it's lame.
One of the thing about Fallout is that it started like the golden age range after the bombs dropped, where it was too long in the past for anyone to actually remember, but close enough for there to be, media preserved from it. And so you got the weird artifacts of the happy-looking Vault Boy and all that stuff. That all fit, but it just... that was... Okay, so I did play the beginning of Fallout 4, and the immediate observation I had was, I really hate seeing the bombs drop, because unlike the exaggerated past that the other Fallouts just let you imagine, it actually showed you everyone acting like a complete turd that is inhuman in every way. Like the guy who comes to your door and is like, "Hello there, Vault-Tec here. I'm gonna give you a place in the vault, see?" And it just sucks. I don't know.
That's another thing. You just
it
touched
breaks
upon
the
something.
world.
You touched on something that I have noticed about most Bethesda games, which is that, like, whenever you come across like a dead body or something like that, and it has a note on it, or you hack into a computer and there's a story in it, there is at least one person being incredibly inhuman, like just horrible, like psychopathic. Everyone in that game apparently is a psychopath, and they do horrible things, and it's like that's the only way that they know how to explore the darkness of humanity, is to just have these horrible people that clearly have no emotion at all, and so they do incredibly terrible things that you can't even imagine, but without any motivation other than like, well, why not? Like it's just it's so surface level and uninteresting.
Let's get real world here. I read a book recently called A Paradise Built in Hell, and it's a pretty journalistic account of lots of different disasters in history, specifically American history, from California earthquake in 1906 up to Katrina. And it's really a great read. It shows that in times of crisis, people can act in ways you would never expect. Just our nature as communal people and helping each other and just getting innate satisfaction out of that. That seems to be true of most disasters in our history, at least recently. And what Fallout 1 and 2 had and even New Vegas had a respect for is that part of human nature. That even though you had the players like Vault-Tec who were manipulating things and experiments, that the people themselves would still form functional societies that make sense, and governments. Bethesda has zero.
I will say at least Fallout 4 does explore the theme of settlement and stuff through the gameplay of building those settlements. But it's there's not much of a story behind that, first of all, and also existing settlements. For example, Diamond City is the city built in the baseball stadium, and you've got a mayor who seems like a buffoon and who probably is just in it for self-interest, and everyone living in the city is at most just putting up with each other.
That sucks.
Nobody's like, oh, I'm so glad I'm here and I'm happy and we've formed this community and we're proud of it, or anything like that. It's just everyone's just kind of putting up. You've got people who are friends with each other and stuff, but it's not. You don't get any of the community stuff. And I understand like zombies and zombies falls under apocalypse. Apocalypse movies, apocalypse books, they all explore, the idea that a disaster like that brings out the best and the worst in humans. But Bethesda doesn't explore either one of those effectively. I don't think. I just think that they don't take advantage of a potentially really interesting setting. And
yeah, I mean, like what you were just saying, Diamond City. First of all I can think of when I hear Diamond City is WarioWare. It's one of the fictional cities in that franchise. Diamond City is where Wario lives. But
Great.
Anyway, same thing with Megaton and I guess with Diamond City, I'm assuming, because I haven't played the game. But there are these wacky locations, they have a quirk to them, and that's one of the first areas you go to in both these games. Well, Sandy Shoals, or Sandy Shores, I can't actually remember the name of it, which is really bothering me because I love that game so much. But it's just a normal place. It's a town in the desert, but the people in it are believable.
And that's what's striking about it, is that you're in this foreign setting of this horrifying apocalypse, and people are being people, and that's what makes it engaging.
It feels, even though it's such a sparse community, it feels like they can help you. It feels that like they have a functional society, they know what's going on, and they can point me in the right direction. They're doing well on their own. It's really good. Those games are phenomenal. Fallout 1 and Fallout 2.
Well,
they're head and shoulders above most of the RPGs you'll have ever played.
In comparison, it wouldn't be a Fallout 4 discussion if we didn't bring up The Witcher 3. In The Witcher 3, just to provide a contrast to Fallout 4, in The Witcher 3, one of the first major kind of, not cities, but areas like village, settlement, that kind of thing, that you come across, you meet the Baron of this. It's kind of a fort, and he has this reputation as being this horrible guy who punishes his enemies in these really terrible ways, and that everyone's afraid of. And you meet him, and he's just a human being, and he's got flaws, and the reason that people are afraid of him is because of those flaws. And he lashes out in anger sometimes, but he also has he's a human, and he has things that he cares about, and you help him, you help him try to become better in the story. Like, it's probably the best storyline in The Witcher 3 that I've played is his little quest line.
That's cool.
It really explores a character with flaws, and it's cool because they introduce him as, this is spoilers I guess, but it's early on in the game, but they introduce him as this scary guy, and you meet him, and he seems kind of nice, and but he has done some bad things, but for maybe some complicated reasons. And so the Bloody Baron is what he's called. And so that's the kind of thing that you would not get in a Bethesda game at all. No way.
Definitely.
No way. What is your favorite character from a Bethesda game? Can anyone answer that? Can anyone answer me what their favorite character from a Bethesda game is? Come on. It's awful.
I will tell our viewers out there. That Fallout 1 has the best story of any Fallout game. Just play it.
All right.
Don't learn anything else about the game. Just play it, and play it however you want. It really is one of those games.
Yeah.
Fallout 1 can't be missed.
I'll have to check it out. I've kind of always meant to, and just figured, I don't know.
It's not terribly dated either. You kind of appreciate the change of pace almost. Like VATS, even. VATS is like a weird abstraction from the original mechanics in Fallout, where you would choose certain limbs and you take different action points. Like, imagine that system done perfectly, and that's Fallout 1.
It's not hard to imagine it being done better than Fallout 4, where, oh my god, it's awful. It's just, I won't even go into it. It's terrible trying to use that system, especially if there's, an enemy close and the camera's, inside their head, and you're trying to choose a body part while they're still moving, because it doesn't pause the game, it just slows it down. All right.
And I would... Okay, before we and this might be the last Fallout thing we say, but
Okay.
Fallout 1 might have my favorite villain in a video game.
There you go. There's a character.
Yep.
An actual character. My favorite character in Fallout 4 so far is a robot tour guide, who has no personality, and that's kind of why he's funny. So there you go. That's there you go. Uh, he says freedom trail, and he says it like that every time he says it, no matter what the context is in the city. And so he's giving you a tour of the Freedom Trail, and every time he says it that way, and it makes me laugh every time. All right.
Yeah.
Rocket League, to go into news. Rocket League. I'm excited for this. Rocket League is supporting their game through cosmetic DLCs, which
Great.
I have no interest in that. I've never bought a skin in my fucking life.
But you know what? It means the game gets money and it doesn't affect you.
Oh,
at all.
it's great. I love it. I might buy a cosmetic DLC in Rocket League because they have come out with a blatant Mad Max ripoff DLC. And from the beginning of Rocket League, you can go back and look at my Twitter feed. I said someone needs to make a Mad Max mod for Rocket League because it's perfect for that. Like having the flames shoot out of the cars and everything. Like you just put the Mad Max cars in Rocket League. They've kind of done that. I mean, it has its own cartoonish kind of style to it that isn't really Mad Max. But the trailer that they did is like they found a composer who can basically simulate the Mad Max feel, like that music. But it isn't quite Mad Max, and then they have like the font, and you need to watch the trailer for the new DLC for Rocket League. It's really entertaining, and I want it really bad. I want one of the cars really bad, so I'll probably pay for it. I think it's like $2 or something. Like they're very cheap DLCs. So yeah, I'm probably gonna buy that against all of my principles. But it looks good. So I love that developer. They've done a really good job supporting the game. Let's save the drama for later. Let's go ahead and jump to Battlefront being... I have some annoyances with Battlefront. This isn't so much news.
I've never played Battlefront. I didn't get into the... Or I did get, but whatever. I didn't play it. So, this is all you.
Everyone... So, first of all, alright, just to set the scene, we've got Battlefront 1 and 2, which I was a fan of, both. I played them a lot. And they're very good games. And I didn't expect very much from this Battlefront because it's EA, it's DICE. They're obviously going to go a very different direction with it from the original Battlefronts. And if anyone was expecting it to be like an original Battlefront game, they were setting themselves up for disappointment. It ended up being more interesting than I thought, or a better direction than I thought. Where like they've kind of made it arcadey. It's not Battlefield with a Battlefront with a Star Wars skin. Yeah. It's its own thing. And I'm happy they did that, and it was fun. Playing the beta was fun. I thought it was a well-made game. I still think it's a well-made game. They nail the sounds and the atmosphere of Star Wars in some really, really detailed ways. That's very impressive. But the game has finally come out, and people have. I've discovered some things about the game that are incredibly annoying. I can't even really... I still can't say it's a bad game, especially not for these reasons, but this pissed me off so much. So the first one is... this is so annoying to me. Are you like a Star Wars fan?
No.
Okay.
I watched the prequels when I was a kid before watching the regular movies.
Yeah, well...
And I played with the lightsabers, and that's my Star Wars.
But you're aware of it, and you're aware of the fan base.
I've seen them all, and
the running jokes of the Star Wars.
I'm up on all the geek culture. I know that Han shot first.
Well, there you go.
I'm in on that inside fact.
What if I told you that you could customize your character to have an emote?
Wow.
And one of the emotes is Han's shot first,
wow.
and he acts like he's shooting a gun with his hand.
Wow.
So you're a stormtrooper on the battlefront, and you go, ah! What if I also told you that the stormtrooper could act like he has a lightsaber and wave it around all crazy like? Or he can reenact... He can reenact all of our...
Wow!
All of our
that
favorite,
time it was early. Sorry.
Our most favorite funny moment from the original... No, from the prequel, where Darth Vader steps out and goes, no! And he can do that. And these are all references...
Oh, like sucking dick from both sides, I see.
These are all references to Star Wars that we all know and love, and
I like
Stormtroopers are doing it on the battlefield.
Stormtroopers, Darth Vader, lightsaber, Jedi sword. That's my favorite Star Wars. $60.
And you can customize your stormtrooper and take off his helmet and be like a pretty blonde girl.
I want to be a girl. I want to be a star girl.
and so like this stuff wouldn't like if the rest of the game was incredibly goofy and crazy, that wouldn't bother me very much. But the rest of the game is 100% trying to replicate Star Wars. Like,
oh yeah.
Like everything about it is like we studied the movies and created, you know, a real universe, and then you have a fucking stormtrooper acting like he has a lightsaber, and it's just it drives me crazy. And that drove me crazy. Also, there's 4 maps in a $60 game, and so that's a little misleading because there's different game modes that use different parts of the map, but there's 4 planets, there's 4 environments.
Right.
And it seems very small. And there's like 7 different blasters or something like that, but they all are basically the same because in the end you're just shooting a laser. It's just, especially if you're aware of the creative way that they used the Star Wars franchise in the other Battlefront games, it's so disappointing to have this like really stale, empty game. And it seems like it's kind of fun, but not at all worth its price or anything. Like, it's just really disappointing and annoying. Like, I just got so pissed off seeing the fucking emotes that drove me crazy.
So has public opinion turned faith since the beta?
I would say it turned twice. I would say the beta turned them
twice. Wow.
Yeah, because originally everyone was saying it was going to be terrible. Because EA, DICE, etc. And then the beta came out, and you know, you still get most people saying like, well, it's terrible, and just kind of generally being negative about video games because it's fun to be negative about video games. But I played it and I thought it was fine. Yeah. And I saw a lot of other people saying like, wow, this is surprisingly fun. It's its own thing. It's not Battlefront per se, but it's interesting. It's not just Battlefield. And then it actually came out, and now everyone's against it again because it just doesn't have anything there to support it. I mean, if you want the full game, you have to pay $110 and wait for the DLCs to come out. It's ridiculous. I still think it'll sell well, though. I know a friend who likes Star Wars a lot, and he bought it for his Xbox One. So moving on. We forgot to mention something last week.
What did we forget?
Major news.
Major.
Video games aren't just under attack, and video games aren't just attacking our children with their violence and whatnot. ISIS is using video games to communicate and organize their attacks against the Western world through specifically Mario Maker levels and Call of Duty levels. Mario Maker by drawing out in coins their attack plans, and Call of Duty by drawing their attack plans with a gun in bullet holes on a wall. This was reported. Now, in fairness, it was reported only as a theoretical possibility in a major Forbes article. I think it was Forbes. And the next day, my coworkers said, "Did you hear that ISIS is using video games to communicate?" So that shows you how that kind of reporting is very responsible. I just think this is the funniest thing ever. I think it's totally absurd. And yeah, the article's bullshit, but no, the article exists, definitely. Yes, the article was a thing that existed.
Great.
It was not made up. They later edited it, I think originally it said it had like the games mixed up. Like it said that you like draw out in Call of Duty with coins. It was just something stupid like that. But anyway, so everyone run in fear, or actually just play the games really well. Like headshot the people in Call of Duty who are trying to organize their plans.
Listen, you have to frag those noobs who are planning terrorist attacks in your online video games. If you don't win, if you don't get that 6 CSGO skin, it means that the other team is going to plan 9/11-2 on your watch. And How do you feel about that?
Keep your kill-death ratios up, people. Come on.
All I'm saying, just saying that you are the personal cause of terrorism. You, the listener, personally, you, the singular person internalizing my words right now. You pointing at the camera, are the cause of all terrorism.
Are you ready for some gaming journalism drama that has nothing to do with a certain hashtag that we all know?
Why
and
the
love?
fuck not?
Have you heard of Kotaku's story about being blacklisted that they ran?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I did.
Uh,
I think I disagree with you about this. So
I don't know. I
go
don't
ahead.
have a very strong opinion about anything going on here. I just think it's interesting. Kotaku ran a story essentially. I mean, I don't want to use such a negative term as complaining, but they ran a story about how they'd been blacklisted by Bethesda and Ubisoft based on a year or
Leaks.
two ago. They had stories about leaked information, like here's where the next Assassin's Creed game is going to be, or here's what Fallout 4's setting is. And so they got blacklisted because that's what companies do when you leak their information. And now they're mad about it because they think it's. I think they think it's too much. They've been doing it for a long time and they're not communicating with them at all. And Kotaku feels it's undeserved. And personally, I think that's kind of not at all how the world works. But
here's what I think. So, I'm disappointed, to say the least, in the general attitude I've seen about this stuff. So, most of the old school hashtag Gamergate supporters
yeah,
are coming out against Kotaku on this, that, oh, you made your bed, now sleep in it, and, you know, you leaked these companies' information, and blah, 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 you deserve it. I just don't see it that way at all. I think that it makes sense for any kind of game journalism site to report whatever it is they find out, and I don't necessarily blame Bethesda for blacklisting, but I get why they would leak that information.
Sure.
That falls within their job. That
Yeah.
if somebody sends you, hey, I have this exclusive information on Fallout 4, I shouldn't be sending you this, like, your job at that point as a journalist is to report what you've learned. That's what you're supposed to do, and that's what they did. And through all this, especially with the main Gamergate subreddit being Kotaku in action, it's easy enough to demonize Kotaku. But I feel like this time they really were doing what they should be doing, which is not kowtowing to the demands of the company, and instead releasing what they learned. So I'm totally with them on this, and I have no problem with them complaining either. That they really don't have an option here besides complaining. Once they've been blacklisted, all they can do is either not report on it or say that they've been blacklisted.
I don't have a problem with them saying they're blacklisted, but the article went further into the idea of blacklisting and that, so here's here's what I think about it. I think it's fine that Kotaku reported on the leaks. Like you said, to some extent, it's their job. They're reporters. If they get credible information, they report it. But you can't eat your cake and have it too. You can't. If you're gonna go the route of let's accept these leaks and report them, but at the same time get early games and stuff from the company that we are essentially undercutting in order to do this reporting, then I that's not how it works. If you want those early copies of the game, if you want to be a game reviewer instead of just if you want to be a game reporter instead of just a game reviewer, then you're going to have to accept the sacrifices of your reporting, which is that you're going to get on those companies' bad side, because the companies aren't obligated to give you their games early. They're doing that.
That's true.
As an agreement.
That's true, but that's the thing for me. As an informed consumer who knows about embargoes and the way that these things generally work, I do not totally trust people who are 100% on the good sides of these companies. That if somebody's consistently getting review copies and that, oh wow, this game is a solid 9 out of 10, I'm loving this, that eventually you don't take it as seriously as venues who have been blacklisted. Because you figure that if somebody's been blacklisted by the company, that they're not beholden to just, praising
So,
it.
yeah, that's one of the things that started the whole gamer Google mess is the idea that in order to maintain relationships with these companies, they might be giving them better reviews than the games actually deserve in order to stay on that company's good side and keep getting those games early and keep the coverage going. Uh, but this is how every industry works and has worked for a while, and I don't see it changing because, again, the companies can just stop sending
What do you
early
mean? What do you
copies
mean?
of the
Every
game.
industry, though.
The movies do the same thing.
No.
Even TV shows do
No,
the same
no, no,
thing.
no, no. In movies and in TV, the criticism industry is so huge. Like the number of critics working and the pre-screenings
Okay.
and everything, it's so huge that they just cannot prevent people from not liking it. That they'll screen movies and they'll suck, and the critics will come out and say that it sucks, and there's nothing they can do about it. At some point, viewership matters. And if people are going to continue to watch and read Kotaku content, even when they're getting later content out for stuff like Fallout 4, it means Bethesda has a serious problem on their hands. And this is why Paramount and Universal and the other movie companies don't have as much control as the gaming companies do. That there's just so many critics that there is no way to suppress the negative opinions. It's just not possible. And I kind of like this. In fact, I really like this. I really like that there's a mainstream games journalism presence that is officially blacklisted and yet was not suppressed.
I mean, okay. I don't. So, I think I respect the decision they made if they were saying, "All right, we might get blacklisted, but this is what we're doing. We're not on the company side. We're on the consumer side." Now, to be fair, what they got blacklisted for was stuff that wasn't exactly pro-consumer. It was tabloid shit, like, "Here's where the next Fallout game's gonna be," and that kind of like that's not like standing up for the consumer. That's not Jim Sterling. There's no Jim Sterling, you know.
Thanks, Jim.
Not that level.
If we can give a shout out to Jim, thank you, Jim.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like they were. It's not like they were digging up dirt on the company or anything. Like they were just doing. They were just getting headlines, and I'm fine with that because that's how they make money. But again, they can't do that and maintain a relationship with the company and then say, "Well, why aren't you talking to us anymore?" I mean, I know we reported on the thing you didn't want us to report on, but come on, like, what do you want? I don't know what you want the company to do. I don't know, like.
I get that they can't expect Bethesda to continue to give them special treatment, but what would be optimal, I think, is if more publications did this. That it's not just Kotaku, it's IGN too. That there's, at this point, there is enough readership and, like, I guess I would call it political involvement in games journalism. That is abundantly clear.
Yeah.
Since Gamer Google.
And I agree with that. And there's been some specific cases where, like, there was one game, and I wish I could remember what company it was or what game it was. There was one game that came out 6 hours before its embargo
lifted. Is it Unity?
Lifted. It might have been a Ubisoft game. I don't remember. But it came out 6 hours after the embargo came out. 6 hours after the game came out,
Mordor,
and so
something like that.
It might have been Shadow of the Mordor. That might have been it. But I was thinking, like, why does anyone listen to that embargo?
Yes.
You've got people streaming the game. Break the embargo and tell the company, if you want to punish us for this bullshit, so be it. And then tell and if they do punish you, then tell your readership, sorry, we've been punished because when the game came out, we sent out our review. That's the way to approach that. And I didn't see a single company do that. I didn't see a single major publication do that, and it drove me insane because I was on. That's what I was saying. I mean, that's what you were saying. Is like, come on. Do you have an obligation? Like, people are buying this game without reviews right now because you are giving in to the ridiculous demands of the company. So I think they should push the embargoes sometimes and push the restrictions that these companies place on them. But I just don't think that you can do stuff like, here's where Fallout 4 is going to be set,
you know what?
And then expect to get review copies and stuff. That's not how it works.
I get that you wouldn't expect to get review copies after that. But the point is that if a company is so concerned about keeping every detail under wrap that if you tell the public anything that leaks, you're going to get blacklisted, it shows that you are not towing the game publisher line. That you are serving your readers, yourself really by extension, that if you continue to get readership, you obviously, as a site, as a game journalism site, get more readers. But it demonstrates clearly we are on your side, not their side, which is...
Yes and no, I think. So
by your side, I mean what you want to know in a very base tabloidy sense, where the latest Fallout game is located.
But I mean, you could argue at the same time. You could argue that Kotaku's letting their readers down because they're choosing easy click headlines that don't actually matter over getting a review copy of the game early and getting a review out that would inform you before the game comes out.
Easy click headlines, whatever. It's stuff that they knew and published, and stuff that other people knew and didn't publish because they were honoring the NDAs and all that garbage that I really have.
But there's plenty of things that a journalist knows that they don't publish. You know, to either if it's to keep identities anonymous, or if it's to keep relationship with company, or if it's because they think that it's something.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Keeping your sources anonymous is one thing. To maintain a relationship with a company is a totally different thing. And I'm glad to see people not prioritizing the relationship with the company.
And I agree with you there, but I don't agree that. But I think it would be commendable of Kotaku to basically give the middle bird to the company and say, well, we're in it for our readers, not you. If the circumstances were different, because it's the reason behind them doing that was just for. It wasn't like they were digging up like, oh, here's the horrible thing that Konami's doing to their developers, you know, or anything like that. They're just it's garbage news. It doesn't affect anything, and there's no point
it itself doesn't affect anything. But the fact that they reported on it when other people didn't, because all they cared about is staying in Bethesda's good graces, that says something to me. And you know what? There are a ton of gaming websites that you can go to if you really care about the 3 minutes of recycled gameplay footage that Bethesda is going to show you as their quote-unquote launch trailer.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
all bullshit.
Yeah,
really, if you were only following Kotaku for the whole launch cycle of Fallout 4, you would miss basically nothing.
You'd miss an early review. You'd have to wait probably more than a day for a review of the...
You can always... you can always go to another site to get just a basic review or opinion. But I don't think there were many people who were on the fence about Fallout 4. I think there were people who were going to buy it...
Well, that's a different issue, though.
Completely separate from any review. And there were the people who were waiting for reviews.
What I'm saying is they've sacrificed their review copy of the game in order to run these stories that didn't actually inform the consumer of anything substantial, and I would respect them for that choice if they didn't then run a thing that said, well, it's unfair that they're treating us this way, because you know how it works, and you broke that, and that would be fine, but don't sit there and complain about it after you break it, like you knew the rules.
And you know what? And I will say I respect their opinion more than anyone who received a pre-release copy. Because I know they have nothing to gain from it.
I know what you're saying right now, but I don't believe it, because Kotaku has a history of not necessarily being...
Well, I
think
that.
That's also part of the reason they've been blacklisted, that I do think that there is a much smaller amount than people are giving credence to, but there is some credibility to the idea that they've been blacklisted because of the history of Kotaku being a not very... well-regarded publication.
That's what people would like to think, I think. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think
it's fair either. They're under a new leadership. Yeah. They're different than they were 3 years ago. But their history is still there. Their name still means something. And,
They're still
and I
Gawker,
wouldn't be surprised if that, and Gawker especially, because the things that are coming out every week in the news about what Gawker is doing, I feel like I'm always seeing something crazy about that company. And I think that does factor in probably to the decisions made by the whoever makes those decisions in those companies. And that's obviously not the primary reason, though. And people acting like, Kotaku, Gamergate wins because Kotaku's been blacklisted. That's absurd. But I would respect a site that said we're not gonna restrict our voice based on embargoes. I would respect that just fine. But that site wouldn't be able to complain about not getting review copies. That's absurd, and they would just have to live with the decision they made because the company is not obligated to give them anything.
But you know what? I'm totally okay with Kotaku making that complaint article because they have a large readership. That's totally
I think that
legit.
they were making a
it's
play.
Totally legitimate for them to make that play. That hey, we have a readership in the millions, and if you're going to impose embargoes on us, well, you have our readership to contend with.
I think
I am
that they were
really glad to see that. I would love to see embargoes shit on by everybody.
Yeah.
Like, that would be so good. And they're making a first step, and I am totally okay with that.
And I think that they were making a political play, and obviously that's always guarded in wording that's supposed to look like something it's not. And that's fine that they were obviously trying to get unblacklisted or change the industry in some way based on, and maybe they will, but they can't be surprised about the negative reaction they've gotten from the community.
I don't think they are surprised.
Probably not. You're probably right. They're used to putting up with a bunch of shit from the gaming community. Anyway, let's move on to another bit of gaming journalism drama. This is actually two different things, and these aren't a big deal, but I thought they were kind of. It's gaming journalism.
Go for it.
IGN, which everyone loves IGN, and they're known best for their Greg Miller Dead Space 2 review.
Game over, Greggy.
They're in it for the cool kills and
Hall
awesome
of
moments.
Fame, Game of Thrones, God, Game over, Greggy.
IGN had a podcast where I watched the clip, and I should have written down exactly what they said, but they were talking about what consoles have that PCs don't, and this is an argument that you see from people who aren't necessarily big gamers quite often, which is like, well, I like sitting on my couch, I like the TV, etc., etc. This guy's argument was that the console has certain features that the PC doesn't, including like you can just record the last 5 minutes of footage.
Wow. PCs can't do that. Wow.
That's literally what I think he literally said. PCs can't do that. And I think he might have been referring to the part where you say Xbox record that or whatever. But, like, what the fuck? I just thought that was funny. There's nothing to say about that. It's IGN being IGN. There is some beef, though. There's some beef going on right now.
Tell us about the beef.
Rooster Teeth has a podcast called The Point? It's called The Point. Whatever. And they were talking about Fallout 4. So I'll just tell you how I came across this. Jeff Gersman made a statement, a reply on his asks page on Tumblr or something like that, saying someone said, Rooster Teeth had something bad to say about you and your Fallout 4 review in their podcast this week. And he said in response, Jeff Gersman's the guy who got kicked out of GameSpot for writing a Kane and Lynch 2 review that he didn't rate it high enough. And he got kicked out of GameSpot. He replies to this thing by saying, well, isn't Rooster Teeth the ones who made that series about Fallout 4 paid by Bethesda? Are they really the people you want to go to for opinions about Fallout 4 or gaming journalism? And so what they said in this podcast, they were talking about how they're annoyed because it seems like certain reviewers, and this is based on Fallout 4, they're all wearing their Pip Boys, by the way, in the clip.
Of course.
And they say, I'm tired of these reviewers that like rate a game 7 out of 10 while everyone else is rating it 9 out of 10. Like, you're not special. You're not special for saying the game's 7 instead of 9. You're just saying it's bad because just, to be edgy or whatever. And they're talking about fucking Jeff Gerstmann, who rated Fallout 4 a 3 out of 5 on the consoles, or on the PS4 version, because the frame rate was really bad, while it was 4 out of 5 on PC on his review. But that blew up way bigger than I thought it would. But like, people were talking about that a lot, and it's been this big thing. And I think that the people who made the statements have kind of backed down and said like, oh, well, we were kind of not referencing Jeff Gerstmann, we were referencing something else. But if you watch the clip, they were like saying like, oh, I'm sipping on my tea and crumpets while I'm writing this review because I'm so elitist about my gaming and oh god, it just pissed me off so much. But again, it's just video game drama. Why are we getting angry about video game drama, everyone?
Where's
Come
the love,
on.
man?
Where's the love? But yeah, basically my point is, you shouldn't be listening to any podcasts that aren't Push to Shout.
Push to Shout podcast. Fuck Jeff Gerstmann.
We're the only ones.
Protects the special interest in Washington.
He followed
we
the
are
Fallout
the
4
gods.
embargo, and that's
we didn't.
too much.
We didn't. All of our pre-release copies that we got, we didn't give a shit about.
We stole them right off the truck.
Yeah.
And when we talk about Fallout 4, we shit all over.
We told you that Fallout 4 sucked a week before it came out.
We're the only ones that shit all over Fallout 4, while everyone else is giving it 9 out of 10s.
There you go.
But yeah, if you want a good laugh, look up Rooster Teeth podcast Jeff Gerstmann, and you'll see some really funny shit. Because
That's good.
And it went farther. Like someone's saying in chat, like they went on Reddit and started defending themselves and stuff. I love internet drama. I can't stop. I can't stop. Someone help me.
Great.
This has been episode 55 of the Push Shout
Yes,
podcast.
it has. I have to piss more than I've ever had to piss in my life.
You seemed uncomfortable at the end of that.
Okay.
All right,
I'm going
do
to press stop streaming right now and unleash Noah's flood.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for that information.
You're welcome. Listeners, I want you to imagine this grand stream of fluids coming out of my dick. Good night, everybody.
Video games.
You won't see that in any Giant Bomb embargo cast. This
That's
is
right.
only the Push to Shout podcast, where
That's right.
all the piss comes directly into your ears. Boom. Boom.